My
mom
called me last night.
Yeah, go ahead.
Complaining
about the Guardians.
like at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can't. They should. The Yankees guy act like the Yankees. They act like they're the best thing moving. He turned around and came back on the field. They should have kicked him out and called the cops. I said, Mom, what you talking about? She was like, my dad comes up. She's talking about the Guardians. I said, okay, all right, Mom.
Yeah. Once again, Jason's boy Josh Naylor failed against the lefty. When will this end?
When?
Josh Bell's
on
batting about 050.
Zach's on my side in the Naylor.
I know. I texted him about those things. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. He busted my balls about this. I said when
I was sitting next to him.
Oh, were you?
Because I said he's full. Because I said Bull's obsessed with Tanner Bybee.
Right, and I said,
and then you said I was. I said it wasn't me.
I was joking. But
No, I was.
You were actually the one who suggested him first over
Yes.
Gavin Williams to me.
Yes.
So then I became obsessed with Bibby after that. Bybee. I keep calling him Bibby. It looks like Bibby.
It looks
but
like
it's
Bibby.
I've been sitting there on YouTube watching his pitches. I'm like, come on, bro. You didn't watch these pros. You wasn't watching big league pitches. Why I'm watching this guy? Because I want to see him up there.
Well, if Peyton Battenfield and Hunter Gaddis
He was
keep
awful.
not being able to make it out of
Logan Allen pitched well yesterday too.
Yeah, and Logan, in fairness, is probably ahead of Bybee.
Yeah.
Zach has said that.
So I should cut Bybee from my fantasy team. Is that what you're saying?
No,
keep him.
I'd keep him. I think he's coming. And Logan probably is ahead of him in terms of timing. But I think Bybee will be here this summer, certainly at the rate things are going.
I don't like to get bogged down in one or two games. Yeah, what's today? Thursday. The Tuesday game was awful. They got crushed.
Yeah.
They blew one late yesterday. But I will say, I thought they needed another pitcher when the season started. I certainly thought they needed another pitcher, and whether that's from the minors or whatever, when McKenzie got hurt.
Yeah.
Now we're not going to see McKenzie till June. Civale's hurt. I don't trust Plesac.
I'm with you there.
I know he pitched, pretty well his last start. Quantrill hasn't been great so far. We'll see. I mean, I'm not pushing him off, but he hasn't been great so far. Again, the Guardians smartly don't panic. They are the anti-king of knee-jerk.
Yes.
They are the king of anti-knee-jerk.
Their knees never move. They never knock.
However, and it's fine to be patient. Nobody's running away with the division. It's not a situation where you got a Tampa that's 12-0 in your division. So they're fine. However, it's probably going to be something they have to address in some meaningful way at some point this season.
I said yesterday, I think it puts more pressure on Cal Quantrill. We know what Bieber is. He can't be any better. He is what he is.
No.
He's going to give you 7. He's going to save your bullpen that day for the most part. This really puts a lot of pressure on Cal Quantrill because you know you're going to get into your depth when Battenfield and Gaddis are on the mound. Yeah. I don't know how sustainable this is that you can keep running those two guys out there.
Yeah.
But if Quantrill gets knocked around and gets out early, and we've talked before about he's a slow starter in terms of April, and he gets off to slow starts, and they know that he has a track record now, and that's just the way he is. He'll get better as the year goes on. But they're going to really burn through this bullpen right now. If he starts leaving games early, he really needs to get into the 6th at minimum, if not the 7th in his starts, because you can't trust really 3, 4, and 5 right now at all.
No.
So that's where the concern is with me is that it really puts a lot of pressure on Cal.
No doubt. And I don't think it's because of this reason, but at the moment, I'm not panicking. Emmanuel Clase does not look quite right.
No, he doesn't. His velocity is down.
Yeah.
Which
now
is
it's building up. It's actually going up.
But then,
But it's not where it was, and he just doesn't have the same command he had either last year. I think he'll get there. I think he'll be fine. But that's what we always talk about this, Jason. You never know from year to year with the bullpen.
With relievers.
You never know what those
And
guys.
that De Los Santos cat, he scares me too. He's now on my list.
Well, he's probably their 4th or 5th best reliever at best. It's telling to me that they extended Trevor Stephan and not James Karinchak. Like that's
right.
That tells you something in terms of how they feel, trust level, and where the organization is at. That was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just me, man. Look, when you got guys up there throwing, 90, low 90s, I can't trust that. Like,
isn't that funny? Like 20 years ago, low 90s would
low
have been
90s,
fine.
Yeah.
You gotta
now
be.
It's like you can't.
You
low
can't.
90s.
92. That's
You
not
better
gonna
have
get
some.
it done.
You better have pinpoint command, and you better have some other pitches that move. Because if you're throwing straight fastballs at 91, 92, you got no shot.
And when they drafted, going back to Bybee, he was a command 91, 92 guy.
Right.
He's now throwing 98.
Yeah.
That's what the Guardians do.
That's why he got me watching YouTube videos.
That's right.
Like, who gets velocity? Who just picks up? That's like saying I ran a 4.
They do that. It's amazing how they do that.
I don't know how they do it.
I ran a 4.6. Now I run a 4.41.
Yeah.
How?
Like, it was always thought you couldn't do that, and they do it now with a number of guys.
And now Gavin Williams is shoving in AA. He'll probably be in AAA sooner than later. So I say Bibby's ahead of him, and he is, but not by much.
I mean, obviously, some of this is they want them to get a little more in the minors, but it's also they don't want to start their clock.
Well, yes, but I mean, look, they started Quan last year. They brought him up on day one and started him on day one, and Bibby's 24. So you're really trying to worry about his age 31 season.
So you think so you don't think that's a non-factor?
I mean, I think the bigger factor is the fact he's not on the 40-man, and they have such a hard time creating 40-man spots right now. I don't think he's on the 40-man. I need to check that. I don't think he's on the 40-man.
He's not.
And they have such a hard time.
Explain that to novices. So, it's not like he's saying 40. We're like 40. What the hell is that?
All right. So once a guy is in your minor league system a certain amount of years, you have to protect him. Okay. Well, I can't remember the exact amount of years off the top of my head. Do you know it?
No, 4 or 5.
I think it depends if you came out of high school or college. It's a different amount of years.
Okay.
Eventually, let's say it's 4 years. I can't remember exactly, but once you're in the minors for a certain amount of years, we'll say 4 as an example. Don't hold us to that. If you're not placed on the 40-man roster, then you're eligible to be selected by another team in what's called the Rule 5 draft that they have in December in the winter meetings.
Another team can steal him from you.
Another team can steal him. Now, the rule is if the other team takes him from you, they have to keep that guy on their major league roster for a complete year.
The active 25-man. So there's a 40.
Well, it could be on the injured list. He could be on the injured list.
But he got to play.
He's got to be on the major league active roster or the disabled list for the entire year. Otherwise, you have to offer him back. Well, you have to offer him back.
Right. Yeah.
You pay $500,000 to take a guy in the Rule 5 draft. You offer $250,000. The team could refuse to take him back. Usually, the guys go back though.
Okay.
So. In the minor leagues, used to be you had a few hundred guys in your system. Now they've cut it down to 4 minor league teams each. So most teams have, 120 guys in the minors, 130 at this point. I mean, it used to be like 200. Yeah. Now it's probably like 120. But you can only have 40 guys on the roster. Now, many teams have at least a guy or two on their roster, if not 4 or 5 on their 40-man roster, that they can get rid of no problem. They're not that.
They can create a spot.
They can create a spot. The Guardians have no useless spots in their 40-man roster. Everybody on their 40-man roster is useful. If you take a guy off, if you bring Tanner Bibby to the majors,
who got to go?
So somebody on your 40-man roster, probably somebody in the minors right now.
Richie Palacios, a catcher of some
sort. You'd have to either trade them. Or cut them out. And the reason Nolan Jones and Will Benson were gone this year is because of 40-man roster spots. And that's unfortunate because they're both.
It was good prospects.
Now, we don't know if either one's going to. And the Rockies actually just called up Nolan Jones yesterday. Will Benson started the season with the Reds, hasn't done well so far.
And they traded him for prospects that they don't have to protect.
That they don't have to protect yet. And so that's the story when we talk about the 40-man.
Reason they moved on from Franmil so quickly last year was because they couldn't like they held on to Jake Bauers for years because they were not in this crunch at the time.
Right.
Franmil was out like that.
Owen Miller, another guy who they traded to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He wasn't good enough to keep a 40-man roster spot. What that means is they've been great at drafting and developing.
And they have this logjam of prospects.
Right. The criticism is that it's somewhere along the line, and you and I both thought it would happen this offseason. They would use some of that logjam of prospects to go get one.
I thought it would happen last year.
Certainly, but definitely this year. Yeah. I think we all thought Sean Murphy was going to be the guy at catcher. Whatever. That's why I've been screaming for Brian Reynolds. Trade 3 or 4.
Oh yeah.
So not only if you make a move like that, it also opens up 40-man roster spots.
They got Rocchio
if you traded for a Brian Reynolds, well, now you have at least 2 40-man roster spots that you could use because he's going to take one of them. You're trading at least 3 guys on the 40-man roster probably, and now you have a spot to call up Tanner Bybee or whatever. So that's why a Peyton Battenfield, who's already on the 40-man roster, or a Hunter Gaddis, who's already on the 40-man roster, are more likely to get called up at this point because you don't have to move on from somebody.
I got you. So that baseball segment was sponsored by Flair baseball cards.
Fleer.
Yeah, Flair.
Flair, whatever. Ric Flair. Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, it's actually Colleague Racing.